Fabulous, excellent. So we are really, really lucky today. So again, we are Technocamps, but we are being joined today by 3 people from the Energy Saving Trust who are going to talk to you about energy saving and carbon reduction and give you some good numbers and good ideas maybe to put into your home of the future game. So we're really lucky to be joined by Yayan, Michael and Ivy. You can see Ivy, your screen is sharing, everything is going really well. So Ivy, why don't you introduce yourself and maybe tell us a little bit about what you do for the Energy Saving Trust and what your job is.
Hi everyone, my name is Ivy Zhang. I'm an Insight and Analytics Consultant at Energy Saving Trust. As for my daily work, I work some parts for Scottish Government for the renewable database projects, and sometimes it could be a verification project for certain energy saving products that want to go into UK market, and we are in some way responsible for verifying their energy saving claims. And then there are also pieces like where we need to update our yearly energy saving figures. Yeah, so it's actually quite a fun ride since I joined Energy Saving Trust. As of today, so today we are having this workshop for the energy saving side of our Home of the Future challenge. So I guess you guys all quite have a good expectation of what the games, the programming side would be like. As for the energy saving side, the core part of our, I guess, expectation or the educational purpose would be at the end of the game, hopefully people who played your game would be able to understand or have a sense of what's the priority of what I can do around my home. And also if I have some money, where would I prioritize my money to best retrofit my home, and what kind of strategies, mentality I should have. And that will be the core goal, I think, from the energy saving side for our competition. And I think before I go into detail, I also want to define kind of the technical boundaries of the energy saving that we are talking about. So we're talking about the boundary is up until the electricity coming into our home. So in a more general term, it would be called behind the meter type. So it's confined in our home. And if you'd like to take it another step, you could consider a group of homes, but we do not consider the energy saving in the process of transmission and distribution, because there are energy saving measures in those process, but we only consider the ones that happening within our home. Okay, so we set the boundary, and then so the caveats of these energy saving measures are that these are based on a typical 3-bedroom semi-detached gas heating house, and with a 85% efficient gas boiler. And I guess I want to say that one cool variable you could have for your game is, for example, these figures are for a 3-bedroom semi-detached house. And if you want to have different stage of your game to be focused on different type of household, you could do that. And I mean, in reality, it would be quite a complicated process to have the real savings for those type of household. So for, I guess, the purpose of our this competition, we would be acceptable for if you kind of scaled all the numbers in these information pack, I guess reasonably, sensibly, as long as it's not like, oh, I'm having more energy consumption for a single bedroom flat than a detached house. As long as it's reasonable, yeah, we will be acceptable about that.
So,
Cool.
you had a question in the chat already.
Sure.
So
awesome.
So does the game have to have things like energy meters? And says my game is just encouraging people to recycling center. Like, does it have to connect energy meters? I think with this, I think the answer is sort of not necessarily. Again, it's all to do with carbon reduction and saving energy, but how you want to do that and what sort of game mechanics you want is sort of up to you. But I think what Ivy's got with us today is looking at sort of the energy consumption in an average 3-bed semi. I'm right in that, yeah?
Yes, kind of.
Yeah, for lots of games, that is going to be really, really useful information. Ooh,
Yeah.
and a big game, we are on a mission to take down naughty people who spread pollution. It's an excellent.
Cool. Cool. And I guess today, with this information pack, I want to kind of provide you guys with the thought process of how we, in reality, if we're thinking about just for our home, what should we do first? And actually, in reality of the game design, that's the message we want to convey to whoever's going to play the game. So just to have a background of the general facts and figures. So the household gas and electricity bill is around this much based on the estimation for 2020. Well, actually, this is 2020's figure, so it's 2019. And you probably can notice that this is based on cost. So it's basically the energy consumption time, the electricity price and the gas price to come up with this cost figure. So if you want to have the energy consumption figure, you could calculate it back based on the this average household energy bill split and the household energy consumption split. I think it's a math problem, well, not problem, math thing that you guys can figure out, which I'm sure you guys are fine. So this would just kind of shows that over the year, electricity price and gas price kind of going stable. And one thing to notice is that the gas price is a lot cheaper than electricity price, which would in some way define another tip that we want to give later. So keep this in mind, that the gas price is a lot cheaper than electricity price.
Ivy, we've had a great question from Diana. So
yes.
Consumer electronics comes up twice, and why is that? And what does wet and cold stand for?
Yes. Oh yeah, actually, here consumer electronics comes twice. I think this is probably one of this is wet, because for this graph, it doesn't have wet in it. Sorry about that. The point for cold appliances are basically our household fridge, freezer. And for wet appliances, it's basically any appliances that have water related. So dishwasher, laundry machine, turbo dryer. Yes, that would count as wet appliances as well. As for, I think, yes, we would send a new pack where we would update this, which, yes, consumer electronics shouldn't appear twice. Sorry about that.
Well, and you explained that very quickly. So are wet and cold sort of devices, if we're going to call them that, do they take up a large amount of the average energy use of a house?
If you can tell from here, the wet appliances, which are laundry machine, dishwasher, and turbo dryer, take up 6%. And then cold, which are our fridge and freezer, it's 4%. So wouldn't be a lot. So I guess the shocking fact should be that the space heating actually takes up more than half of the energy consumption. That's what actually drives our, I guess, thought process later on for tackling this. Okay. Yeah. And then continuing to our general facts, is that actually a lot of the UK homes are not well insulated. And we can tell from this figure that actually a lot, nearly a third of the heat loss is from walls. And then accordingly in descending order, roof, windows, ventilation, floor, doors. And the reason why we want to present this is that if we think of, now we have all kind of the general information. Now we want to think, okay, now I know that this is my general household energy consumption split, if we think in a household, we have electricity come in, we have all these appliances that use up the electricity, and then because the bad insulation of our house, there would be part of the energy that would just be lost because of the bad insulation. So if we think of this process, the first and foremost measure we should be doing, and that's when we're talking about if I have enough resource, like if I have enough money to do basically anything I want, then what would be the first step we do? It should be to upgrade our insulation, because think like that. It's like whatever electricity I'm buying from the grid, the money I'm spending, a large proportion might be wasted through my bad insulation. Then first foremost, I would want to upgrade my insulation. And I think in our later second information guide, we would have the numbers for the each energy saving and cost saving for upgrading the insulation measures. And
I will just say, so Jack has asked if we can share this page with him, and I'm just going to tell you all now that what Ivy is showing you will be sent to you so that you can have a look at this.
Yes.
So you get all of this information so you can use whichever numbers that you like for your game to make it a little bit more realistic.
Yeah. Okay. So it's almost like, oh, now we fixed our leaky house. Now I have the best insulation. And based on this energy consumption split, what would we do next? If anyone have any guess.
Great. So, okay, if we sorted out the insulation in our house, what would be the next big thing that we could tackle to really save some energy and
wisely? Yeah. And based on the energy split we are looking at. Cool. Okay. No takers? Okay. So
I think it's going to be the hot water, because that's going to be our next big thing, right? So why is hot water separated from wet? So is wet just dealing with like things like laundry, and then hot water is just sort of to do with like getting the
tap.
Okay.
The tap water, hot water. And oh, I thought you were gonna say space heating, because this is 65%. Right? So if we think once we have our insulated home, if wisely, because the money we spend on powering our home, more than half is for space heating, then we should first improve our space heating efficiency. And that's actually part, if we think of like this, these are all the appliances in our home. What we do is we want to improve all the efficiencies in some way to minimize my demand for energy as much as we can. And yes, we, in a lot of case, we are doing, we are upgrading all of these appliances simultaneously or gradually. And I think that's one thing would be quite nice to, or like interesting to have in the game, say that at the beginning we have certain money stored, and I can choose to continue to have some behavioral change and then save some money through that to save up for a big boiler change, or I can spend the money right away to buy new small appliances to have higher savings from there. So I guess that would be like in my head how that would be interesting for different people. And in reality, sometimes that's the case, because sometimes people don't have enough money to go for the largest saving, which is upgrading our heating system. Then what I can do for now is to have our slightly smaller appliances upgraded into a better efficiency appliances to save energy. And okay, go back to, if I have enough money, I can go crazy. I can first upload my space heating heating system first. Then what would be available? Sorry, I'm not going through this as the order. So as in this pack, where the air source heat pump and the ground source heat pump are mentioned, these are two of the quite energy efficient heating system that we have now on the market. And in reality, these heat pumps runs on electricity. So as if we think back into the caveats, this home that we are currently talking about is having a gas boiler. It's gas powered, have basically gas access. In that case, actually, if we basically switch from having gas power our heating system into electricity, in some way it doesn't make that much sense, because we know that the gas price is a lot lower than electricity price.
Mhm.
So we would ask, oh wait, if I'm switching to electricity heating, then potentially I'm spending more. And I think that's another variable we could have in the game where would make things slightly more interesting and challenging, is that, say, this a certain stage of the game, I'm having gas main heating, and if I want to upgrade, I have options of heat pumps, I have options of more efficient gas boilers, and then we could tell people, yes, you can upgrade into heat pumps, but if your main heating resource is already gas, then technically by switching to electricity powered heat pumps, you wouldn't save money economically, but you would save a lot of carbon emission. That's an option that people can have, and some people have made that choice because they care for the environment. And a more compelling case for heat pumps and electricity heating is if I'm in the stage of the game where I'm in a household where I don't have gas heating. My heating is run on electricity heating alone. Then having switched to heat pumps would save a lot money, a lot more than I would expect. And I guess that's like a nice variable we could have in the game.
Yeah, so it's not always a case of every time you do something environmentally friendly, you're going to save money. Sometimes
Yes.
it is going to cost you more, even in the long run.
Yeah, a heat pump would be one example for now, because now the electricity price is that much higher than gas. I think in the future it's gonna become less and less so, because, for example, UK have target of having net zero target by 2050, and net zero means that the carbon emission we emit is basically subtract by the carbon we take in. It's zero, which means like in the long run, at the end of the road, there wouldn't be gas heating. So people who invest in electricity heating, like heat pumps, they're slightly a step ahead of the time, which eventually people all gonna go for electricity heating. That's the trend, right? Because we want to be net zero by 2050. And okay, so I have a quick question. Is this document shared before our session?
I don't think you guys have seen this quite yet, if I'm right. That is something that is coming
Okay.
to you.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. In that case, cool. And then I will slightly slow down a bit, because I thought you
Yes, I
guys.
think it has been emailed, Nia.
Oh,
Like,
I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
but
okay.
but some people would have received maybe a new, so they might not have received it. So it
Uh,
might be a few people.
okay. Cool. And I guess for people who haven't seen it, for air source heat pump basically is kind of almost like an AC unit. It would look like an AC unit where you don't need a lot of space. You actually don't need a garden or a large garden. Then you can install this and have it replace your heating system. And whereas a ground source heat pump is more efficient, but it does require garden space where you need to dig out your garden and have the pipe, set into the ground. And so that would be one restriction for different type of household. So for a flat, you can never have ground source heat pump. And then if you're a house with a garden, then you have an option for ground source heat pump. I guess that's kind of different option you can set in your game. Okay.
Can I, while there's a slight pause, we had a really great question
Cool.
from Jack. He was talking about, so you talked initially about insulation, how important that was.
Yes.
And then you said, well, we still need to solve the space heating problem. So does insulation help at all with the space heating problem?
Yes.
It's still such a big problem that actually, even with the insulation, there's still a lot of work to do.
That's the thing, like I said, like the sequence I'm going through are if I have all the money that I can spend on this, that's the steps that I want to go through. But yes, you can have your heat pump, but to think, then basically you're spending extra money on the heat loss that go through your poor insulation, then that wouldn't be wise unless your electricity is powered by your own solar PV, right? However, if you have your insulation first, then for the extra electricity generated from your PV, you could sell it back to the grid to make money. So you kind of always go back to decrease the electricity demand first, then we do other measures for energy efficiency, and then for not upgrading, have solar panel. Okay.
So every time focus on reducing the amount of energy you need. That's your first base. And then
yes,
how can I get that energy in a greener sort of way? And that's how you do it.
Yes. Otherwise, to think that if I want my solar panel now, then technically I probably would, I definitely would size my solar PV too much, because after all my energy saving process, I would decrease my demand. Then technically I don't need that large of a solar PV. Then it wouldn't make economic sense to have more than what you need, right? Okay, cool. Now we kind of talked about replacing or upgrading our heating system. Oh, and also, I guess for the sake of gaming design, if we're in a gas heating home, my option would be, yes, I would want to have a heat pump, or I can have a more efficient gas boiler. And then, yes, that would be an option as well. And I think we would send out the numbers for those options. Then you can incorporate it in your games. Yeah. Okay, and that's for space heating. And actually, if we upgrade our heating system, then space heating and hot water are taken care of, because all of those type of boiler or heat pump would cover space heating and hot water already. Okay, now we kind of get down to the small bits, which are the wet appliances and all these appliances. And so for these appliances, sometimes you could notice that in your fridge, you can see the energy label. It's a sticker. I hope not everyone just go ahead and then remove it. But yeah, when you buy it, you will notice there will always be an energy label sticker on all appliances. And what we want to do is, if I have a B+ appliances, what I want to do is I always want to basically, as much as I can, buy the most efficient appliances that I can afford. Because the good thing is with energy, with having a more efficient one, even if, say, my TV, I bought a larger TV, but because my TV is more efficient, even with a larger TV, the TV might actually cost less to run than my old, smaller, less efficient TV. So we always need to remember that we always buy the most efficient appliances on the market for any of these. Okay. Cool. That was the heat pump. So now, so I guess the part for replacing the appliances is a bit general, where we will give you the specific figure for each appliances, but the general idea is for any appliances, we want the most efficient one. And then those above are all the things we could do if we have money to spend. Now we're going to talk about the things that we could do without spending money. So these are the energy efficient behavior where we can do in the meantime when we replacing those appliances, or sorry, haven't saved up money yet in my game. So I have to do these measures daily to save up money for my next step, right? So for example, the smart meter, which are free, I think now provided by all the energy suppliers. So you could call.
I've got a few smart meters dotted around the house.
Yes. So one would be, this is free. You can install it, and study shows that it could save energy by 2.8% and gas by 2%, right? And then also for washing and drying, one thing we could do is to set the washing machine, the laundry machine to 30 degrees, and that would save us this much money yearly, and then this much carbon dioxide. I think this figure is compared to if we wash it on average at 55 degrees C. So actually having wash things at a lower temperature saves a lot of energy, like more than half of the energy. Also, so also for kettle, we can actually save £6 per year if we choose to not overfill our kettle every time we heat it. We can just, if I need 2 cups of tea, I'll just fit in 2 cups of tea worth of water, and that would save us energy as well. And then for thermostats for thermostats. So basically for like the heating system we mentioned earlier, there would be a control center, which is this thermostats that we can control and set what the desired temperature we want for our house. Yes, so a behavioral act we can have for thermostats is if we turn down by 1 degree, it could save us 60 pounds and this much carbon dioxide every year. And personally, I feel like 1 degree, I couldn't feel it that much anyway. And if I feel slightly chilly, I would just put on another jumper or something. It doesn't reduce any comfort in me, but then they save that much carbon dioxide per year. So that's something we could do. And then this part is the switch it off part is talk about how much energy and the carbon dioxide we can save by switch things off when they're on standby. For example, our computers, our TVs, when they have our smart speaker, radios. I don't know if these days people still have radios. Sorry, that's a bit old. But yeah, so basically any appliances that could have a standby mode, if we switch it off, that's kind of the average we can save, and the carbon dioxide we can save per year. And of course, same.
Sort of roughly how many appliances would a household have that they switched on that they should just be turning off without thinking about it? Because certainly I can think, like, just looking around this room, that I've got a number of appliances that actually I just leave on all the time until I think about it. So like, is there like a certain number you think, or is it going to change quite a bit?
I think it depends on what kind of household you have, but I think on average people would have 30 to 40 appliances in their home.
Yeah, that feels like a lot, but I'm not. I mean, also now that I'm thinking about it, it's like there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay, 30 to 40 appliances. Excellent.
Yeah, and if you have, I don't know, finger in the air, a third would run on standby, then yeah. So it's still a lot. And I think here mentioned lights as well. I think ever since I studied energy system, I have a kind of a, what's the word? I have a desire to turn off lights whenever I leave a room. Like even earlier, my roommate in college was like, "Why are you turning off lights all the time?" I was like, "This saves energy," and now she's doing that. So I think there's, behavioral power in that, and it actually it just saves energy and then reduce carbon emission. So why not do it, right? Cool. Oh, here. Same with lighting these are the behavioral things we could do for lighting. Oh, the turning off lights we have mentioned. So these parts are kind of the figures for if we replace the lights in our home, which also comes in to if we think lighting as part of appliances, we want more energy efficient appliances, AE energy efficient lightings. And these days, LEDs are cheaper and really it's a lot more advanced than our old halogen light. Yeah, so I think these are the very low cost energy efficient measure that you could do. And for water, I was a bit resistive of including water, but I still think it's worth mentioning because it has educational piece in it. So for water, it's we can easily calculate the energy saving, but for carbon saving, it's a bit tricky. So that's why here we don't mention much of the, oh, sorry, not energy, not mention much of the carbon emission savings. But still, if we take shorter showers, if we take less bath and then take more shower, then it could save us a lot of water. And then in some way there are carbon emission through the water transmitting water cleansing process. So there are carbon emission, carbon reduction through that.
We've
And
got a question in the chat saying,
sure.
where does the number 5,521 come from? So I think that's talking about the total savings from like the first point there in showers. So is that literally just having like showering more than you're bathing, having
Yeah.
an efficient shower head, and just like little things that you wouldn't even necessarily notice can actually have a really big like financial saving there?
Yes, because technically your shower is related to your sewage bills, and then using hot water also related to your hot water heating bills, whether that comes from gas or electricity. So those are all the money you were going to spend on taking longer shower or longer bath. And yeah, actually I probably need to double check this.
No, it just someone's in the chat.
Bit...
It says £25 off yearly gas and £30 off your metered water. That's obviously £55. So where's the rest of it come from? Because
yeah,
big number.
Let me just quickly check. Oh, it's around £50, and the 2.1 was in the older version where it was note. So it's £55.
55.
Apologies, guys.
No worries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, we would all be taking short showers.
Yeah, if you could save me £5, I don't think I'd shower again. No, okay, fab. So that's £55.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all that I want to talk about today. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, any last questions for Ivy? Any particular numbers that you would really like to know? Maybe we might not be able to get back to you today, but we might be able to email you and I can look that up.
Yes, and basically all the appliances efficiency upgrade, the cost saving and the carbon emission saving would be sent out later, so you can easily plug in your game. Yeah.
I don't think we've got anything in particular.
Cool.
So I think just to sort of sum up, it looks like you've got encouraging people to save energy through like financial and saying you could save this much money, and then you've also got you can reduce your carbon, which is obviously very important in and of its own. They're not always the same. They're not always going to be the same goal. Sometimes you spend a lot, and it's not going to save you money to save carbon. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like, and again, that space heating, I didn't realize that was such a large part.
I know. That's why now government runs a lot of electrification of heat program. Because, oh, I was gonna show you guys something else as well. Since I was saying the price of electricity is that much more expensive than gas, I guess if we think oh, if I'm switching to electric heating using heat pump, then kind of in what scale am I saving for carbon emission? This is an interesting website called Carbon Intensity. This is developed by University of Oxford. So actually this is cool because you can actually monitor the UK grid's carbon intensity daily, and then you can choose, ooh, the carbon intensity is quite low. Now I probably want to do my laundry, for saving carbon emission, of more carbon dioxide. And we can tell that for UK, if on a good day, we could have as low as 58, average 94, and high as like 140, or there's 2 to 1. And these are like the grid electricity carbon factor. And for gas, it's 208. So to think that if I were to switch my heating to heat pump to electricity heating, the difference is, I guess for the bad times, difference not that much, but for a lot of other times, there are difference. Yeah, and this is also for you guys' interest. If you want to put this in part of your game, this is a good resource to have. And I think they have background code provided as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had a question in the chat if there were any particular websites you suggest for looking at this. So Mike has put the Energy Saving Trust website in the chat. I just put that carbon intensity one in as well. Is there anywhere in particular that like you would go if you wanted to just find something out really quickly, or is the Energy Saving Trust the place to be?
As honestly, I would think for our game, definitely Energy Saving Trust website, because for example, this is a page for replacing your boilers. So this is one thing that we didn't touch on too much in our presentation. So it's like, if I have gas boiler and I just don't have space for a heat pump, I cannot afford a heat pump, then what you still can do is to upgrade your boiler into a more efficient one. Mm-hmm. And this is a good web page where you can actually find out if you're a detached house, right? This is the different grading of the boiler you used to have. And if you were to upgrade them into a grid, this is how much money you could save per year. And accordingly to this energy rating old boiler. And then you can also find out for your semi-detached house and for your bungalow or for your flat. So these,
yeah, it's not just that sort of 3-bed semi we were talking about. There's a little bit more.
Yeah, so this is kind of the nice small variant we could have in the game, is to, if you have a different house, different type of house for one, I guess, one stage of the game, you could have different figures. Yeah.
Awesome. Right.
So you guys can explore Energy Saving Trust website. Yeah. There's a lot of good figures on there as well. And we would totally be open to any other sources as long as you cite it well. And it's not some, I guess, what's the word for it? Not like just any website, right? If those websites have source and it's reliable, then yes, we can take it.
Awesome, right. So do we have any final questions? I can see Jack has said that he can't find these pages. Do not worry. If you don't think that we have sent you what we should have sent you, if you send us an email, we will reply with all of the pack and with all of the information. So otherwise, has anyone got any final questions for Ivy? I'm going to take that as a no. Okay, fabulous. So thank you so much, Ivy. I think that was very, very informative. I think we got a lot of information and it was very interesting as well. I'm excited to see what sort of games we end up with. I'm just going to, if you don't mind, share my screen
Sure.
Very briefly, because I want to remind everyone that on Thursday, here we go. On Thursday, my mate Jack is going to be running a game development workshop. So he's going to be talking you through what makes a good game. He's also going to be showing you how to do some coding and make Code Arcade. So if you have never coded before and you've never made a game before, that is something to check out. Otherwise, if there's nothing else, speak now, forever hold your peace, I'm going to say goodbye. And again, hopefully we will see you all on Thursday. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to see if I can work out how to stop recording. But otherwise, ta-da, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you all.
Ta-da.